Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Trevor with Maker Experiment, and in today's video, we're going to be experimenting a little bit. I'm going to take 3 different processes for engraving a photograph onto wood and see how they turn out. Let's get into it. The plan for the video is pretty straightforward. I have some pieces of alder wood that are 1/8 inch thick. They're pretty small. This is what I'm going to be using for the test piece and comparing 3 options. The 3 options are going to be engraving straight out of Adobe Illustrator, converting an image to grayscale, and just trying to do it from there. The second option is using Imagear, which is a website that you can upload a photo to, and it will supposedly make it good enough for engraving. And then the third option is using the PhotoLaser Plus software that I received from Epilog. So as we get into this, I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by Epilog. They did provide the software to me, and I am using the Epilog Fusion Maker for the entire video. They also provided the larger plaques that I'm going to be engraving the best option on. So whichever one turns out best, that's the one I'm going to engrave onto here and show you what that looks like in the runtime and all of that. So huge shout out to them. I will leave a link below to the Fusion Maker so you can check that machine out for yourself. But without further ado, let's jump into it. As I mentioned, I'm going to walk through 3 different options. So I've only done this a little bit. I'm not going to spend hours trying to tune in the photos or anything like that. The purpose of this video is to see how quickly I can get a good result on each of the 3 options. Some are going to be better than others. I've done a little bit of testing to get an idea of what I'm getting into. I will say that you can probably go through a bunch of things to alter the photos, get better results, and fine tune it. And that's a whole learning process. I really want to focus on which one is the easiest to use, straight out, quickest method to get something to the machine. And the reason I want to do this is because I often get people saying, well, I don't have 4 hours to figure something out. Or I don't have, 3 weeks to figure out what I'm doing. I need to be able to produce a product and be able to sell it within the day, right? So this is purely focusing on getting you from start to finish as quickly as possible with a good result. That is why I'm comparing the 3 options. So the first up with Adobe Illustrator, I have the image that I'm going to use. The reason I picked this image is it has some lights, it has some darks, it has some features, it has some textures to like the clothing and things like that. So I thought it would be a good all-around photo to use. So what I'm going to do first is I've already placed it. I'm going to embed it by going up here to the top and just saying embed. Once I've embedded it, as a safety precaution, I just go in and I say object, rasterize it. So here's a few different options you can use. You can use RGB, grayscale, and bitmap. Now, I haven't really tried all 3. I've tried RGB and converting it to grayscale. So, what I'll do a little bit here is I'll run a quick test. I'm not going to do the whole thing on camera, but I will do the RGB, the grayscale, and the bitmap separately, see how they turn out, and then I will show you the physical result. I'm not going to walk through doing the setup because it shouldn't be that different for all of them. What I'm going to do is say color mode RGB, click OK. Then I'm going to go to edit, edit colors, and then convert to grayscale. Doing the rasterizing in grayscale may do the same thing. I don't know yet. I will test that here in a second. But what I'm going to do is print this as it is. I'm going to print to my engraver. And then once the engraving software pulls up, I have the piece of wood on there already. It is the alder wood. So I've played around with the settings a little bit. There is a built-in one that is for wood, and it is for photo engraving. It says 500 DPI. I actually got a little bit better result with 300 DPI. It does have speed is 35. Now that gets you a really dark one. I'm actually going to bump this up to 80 just to do something that's a little bit quicker. Power, I'll leave it 100. and instead of dithering as standard, I'm going to make it stucky. So I found that stucky does a pretty good job with photos and graphics in general. And I'm going to do that with the bottom up. I will film the engraving a little bit and show that to you. But I will do the same thing with the other options for the rasterizing. From there, go ahead and hit print. And then we'll go over to the laser and watch it engrave. So again, I'm going to do the RGB, the grayscale one, and the bitmap one just to see what happens. I will use the same exact settings on the software side with the 300 DPI, 80% speed, 100% power, and the stucky dithering pattern. And I will show you what that looks like. I just finished the Illustrator test. I did one as RGB conversion for the rasterize, one as grayscale, and one as bitmap. I will say they don't look a whole lot different. So this is the RGB rasterize. This one is the grayscale. And this one is the bitmap. Now, looking at them all side by side, I don't really know which one's the best. From different angles, I would say that the RGB rasterized turned out the best. So I think that one's probably the one I'm going to use. It's kind of a judgment call, honestly. So I'm going to use this one for the next set of tests, where I'm going to be comparing to the other software. So I'm not going to show it on camera again, but I will engrave the Illustrator one right here, and then I'll do the ImageR and then the PhotoLaser Plus. For the Illustrator version, when you bring in the photo, you're going to rasterize it as RGB, or at least I am in my test. Convert that to grayscale, and then engrave it with the settings of power 100, speed 80, 300 DPI, and the stucky dithering if you're using the Epilog software. Again, you could probably improve this dramatically by spending a lot of time doing it. I'm just trying to get a quick test going to see which one's the easiest to get through. So I'm gonna go ahead and engrave that. Let's jump into the ImageR. Now that we've done the Adobe Illustrator, time to get into ImageR. So it is image-r.com. It is free. It just has ads on the site. But it's a good option if you don't want to spend any money. So what you need to do on the website is you need to go to Upload, select your photo. I'm going to use the same photo I was using before. And I'm going to cheat because I've already uploaded the image here. So I can flip back and forth. It does take a few minutes to upload. You'll see that at the top of the browser, it has a spinny wheel showing that it is working. It's not very obvious that it's working on anything. Eventually it will appear down in the bottom. So right now my height is 18.33 inches. I've already adjusted my size. So it is 4.5 inches wide, 3.01 inches tall. This is the exact measurement of the Adobe Illustrator version. So here I do have a lot of dark spots and I have a lot of light spots. So one of the things I've learned from watching some of the videos in the past of ImageR is if you adjust the gamma, so say I go to like 2.3 or so, 2.3, it does look like it is much brighter, which is good because some of those dark spots aren't going to come through very well. On the brightness though, It's still really bright in some areas, so let's bump that down a little bit. And I'm actually gonna go to, I still think it's kind of bright. I wanna, okay, so let's try a -25. You know what? You're gonna have a little bit of blowout, I think, on that one for the brightness aspect, but I don't think it looks too bad. You can change some other things like contrast. I'm not gonna do that though. That looked horrendous. Wow. Don't do that one. So a lot of this is just playing with settings, figuring out what's gonna look best. This can take a long time, but it is free. So time is money. If you want to spend more time, do it that way. So I think this looks much better. You can see compared to the original, it is brighter in the car areas that were getting blown out in Illustrator. So under material, I'm going to select my CO2 laser, and then I'm going to go to wood and select OK. It's going to take a minute there. It looks like it converted it to whatever it needs to do. So I'm going to download that as we'll do PNG. And then I'm going to use this in my Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to go back to Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to import or place that photo that I just had from ImageR. So I'm going to put it right next to it. You can see compared to the Adobe Illustrator version, it doesn't have all the grayscale aspects. It just has the dots and whatever it was doing. What I'm going to try to do is go back into the ImageR software and see if I can download without applying a material to see if it doesn't do that dot aspect. Well, this is a good point too, is you could probably make a lot of the same adjustments ImageR is doing in Adobe Illustrator. It's just prepping it for laser that ImageR is supposed to be doing pretty well. So I'm going to send this over to the machine. It's already set up where I want it on the wood. I'm going to use the same settings I used before. So photo engraving, 300 DPI to match the image from ImageR, 80% speed, 100 power, Stucky dithering pattern, bottom up, and hit print. So we'll go over to the laser and see how that one turned out. So, not exactly what I expected to happen. This is the result. So this is the ImageR one with the wood applied. Like, it looks better from a you can see more of it, but it's kind of weird because it doesn't look natural as a photo. It's very, I don't know how to describe it, but it does look better than the Adobe Illustrator one. So with some tweaking, this can probably turn out really good. I mean, this could too. The reality is, with a lot of tweaking, any method will work. But I want to see how quickly I can get a good result with little effort. So I did run a few tests on ImageR. I have this one, which got really blown out and bad. I've got this one, which looked kind of similar to the Adobe Illustrator, but it's really dark still. This was without applying any kind of material. And then I applied the material in ImageR and got the other result. So that's what I got so far. So now I'm going to use the PhotoLaser software and engrave that here. See how that turns out. I'm just going to use built-in stuff for that one. So let's jump into the PhotoLaser side. Now that I've done the Illustrator and Image R, we're going to tackle PhotoLaser Plus. Again, I did get this from Epilog. They actually gave me a preferred way that this works. So without any other effort, I'm going to follow the instructions I was given and see how easy this actually is. So with them, I'm going to go to File, Import my photo. I am going to be using the same photo. Change my image to the same size, 4.5 by about 3.01 or something like that. Okay. Now, what I've been told to do here is go to Image, Image Size. I have been told to use 600 DPI, but for the sake of consistency, I will do 300 DPI like I did for the other two. I will probably do a side-by-side and show you, but I'm going to click Apply after that. Once I've set the image size, I'm going to go to Transform, go to PhotoLaser, and click Interactive. Now, there's a little bit of an issue that I had here. When I clicked on Browse and I selected my wood settings for a large engraving, when I send it to the laser, it can't find the process. It doesn't work for some reason. So what I ended up doing was I selected it, clicked OK, and then deleted my photo. Then I brought it back in, did the same stuff, and if you go to Transform PhotoLaser Automatic, it will automatically choose the last one you used, and then it worked. There must be a little bit of a bug in there somewhere. I'm not sure why. It didn't cause a bunch of issues, but it is just quirky and not great from a user experience. So the actual process is to do the image, set the resolution, go to Transform, click on Automatic if you want to select the profile, or if you just want to use the latest one you used, click Automatic, and then it should work. So a little bit of a hiccup there. Now from here, I'm just going to hit Print, send it to my laser. It will pop up. Now, another weird thing that I don't know what's going on with this is it shows up, but it's way down here at the bottom. So you have to bring it up. Again, a weird quirk. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they need to make a software update. But I will go through and select the same settings that I used before. So it was 300 DPI, 80% speed, 100 power. I am going to use Stucky again and go from the bottom up for consistency. Again, they recommended 600 DPI. We'll see what 300 DPI does and go from there. So let's send it over to the machine and we'll engrave it. I finished engraving the image R. I did two different ways. I did the 300 to match the rest of them, 300 DPI, that is. And I did a 600 DPI, which was what was recommended to me. So it did make a drastic difference. This is the 300 DPI. Now, I will say overall, it does look a little bit better than the image R. It looks a lot better than the Adobe Illustrator, but those are the three options that I used. Now, this is the 600 DPI, which in person looks much better. So if I stack these two on top of each other, this is the difference. So what I'm gonna do, I think the PhotoLaser Plus definitely turned out the best with the 600 DPI. So I'm going to be using that setting. I'm going to engrave that onto the larger plaque. So again, this plaque, Epilog did send this to me. It is hefty. They got it from Colorado Heirloom. It does already have the key things in the back for hanging it. But what I'm going to do is engrave this and then see how it turns out and show you the result. I am going to time lapse it because it's going to take a while. At the end of this, I will let you know how long it took. I will say photo engraving at high DPI does take a while. It is something that is more of a premium product, and the price will end up reflecting that. So just keep that in mind. So let's go engrave this bad boy. The engraving just finished. It took about an hour and 7 minutes. Keep in mind it is 12 by 24 and it's 600 DPI, so it took quite a bit. But let me show you what it looks like. Here's the final photo engraved onto the alder wood plaque. It does look really nice, honestly. So if I zoom in here, and actually, if I come up pretty close, you can see some of that detail. The back, kind of like the bokeh of a photo, turned out pretty good. It is kind of blurry like it should be in a photo. And then the details on the shirt, you have some more details on the car. And then you even have like details in the jeans, the jackets, all of that. So overall, I think it turned out pretty good. Overall, in this experience, I think the PhotoLaser Engrave Plus software is actually the best result for the least amount of work. If you are wanting to engrave photos a lot, and you're going to be doing it either with photographers or whatever you're working on, I do recommend that software. It is pretty easy to use. It does have those weird quirks that happened with either like the photo coming in really small. Maybe they'll do some kind of update to that, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me. I couldn't really get the Imagejar or Illustrator ones to work well without a lot of tweaking. In the future, I'll keep playing with them, see if I can get them any better, but it was fun to experiment with, see which one would work the best. Overall, I do recommend PhotoLaser Plus. I don't remember how much it cost, but look into it if you're looking to engrave photos a lot, especially on wood. It could save you a lot of time so you don't have to research Imagejar and the other ones and try to tweak it until you get it right. It was rather quick to get a good result right away. Hopefully this video has been helpful. It's been a fun experiment for me. If you did enjoy the video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so that you know when I come out with new videos. Be sure to check out my Instagram where I've been sharing a little bit of behind the scenes video clips along the way. But I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one.